Something interesting is happening in the Boise market right now, and it's a little different than what most people expect going into 2026. We're seeing more buyers come back into the market. Homes are starting to move again, and yet prices haven't really taken off. So the question is, are we heading into a competitive spring, or is this a window for opportunity? I'm Sarah Breck, a relocation and new construction specialist here in Boise area, and I help a lot of out-of-state buyers move into this market. And today I'm going to walk you through exactly what's happening in February, what it means, and how I'd be thinking about this if I were buying or selling right now. Section 1, prices. Let's start with pricing because that's usually the first question I get. The median home price in Ada County came to $538,000. That's up 1.5% year over year, essentially flat month over month. And I think this is where people are getting a little confused because we're hearing about activity picking up, but prices aren't jumping with it. What that tells me is we're in a market that's stable, not stagnant. Section 2, sales. Now, when we look at the actual sales, we had 647 homes sold in February, up 6.8% year over year and up 21.8% from January. And that jump month to month is pretty telling. That's not just a small increase, that's buyers re-engaging. People who were sitting on the sidelines are starting to move again. In fact, most of my conversations from buyers are usually feeling frustrated by the fact that they find a home and the home often doesn't even make it to the open house weekend. While some homes are sitting pretty long, a lot of them are moving within days. Section 3, pending. But the real story, the one I pay the most attention to is pending sales. So we're sitting at 1,245 pending homes right now. It's up 14.4% year over year, up 12.4% month over month. And here's the part that really matters. There are actually more homes under contract right now than there were closed last month. So unless something shifts dramatically, March is likely going to show even stronger numbers. And this is usually where people say, wait, is the market heating back up? Section 4, inventory. Now, before we jump to conclusions, let's look at inventory. We have about 1,484 homes on the market in about 2 months supply. For context, a balanced market is closer to 4 to 6 months. So yes, there is still technically a seller-leaning market, and this is important. It doesn't feel extreme right now. Section 5, days on market. Homes are taking about 60 days on average to sell and closer to 45 days for resale homes. So we're not in that weekend bidding war environment, but we're also not in a slow market either. And one thing I found really interesting from the report, price isn't actually the main factor in how quickly a home sells. It's more about location and the type of home. Section 6, interpretation. So if I zoom out and look at all of this together, this is what I'd call a quietly competitive market. It's not loud, it's not chaotic, but it's moving. And those are the markets where strategy really matters. Section 7, local factors. And then layered on top of all of this, there are a few local updates that could impact your timing. So we have tax refund delays. This one is a little unexpected. Idaho is actually seeing tax refund delays this year, some up to 6 weeks. So if you're someone who is planning to use the refund for closing costs, that could shift your timeline slightly. Zoning and starter homes. On the flip side, there's also a push to make housing more accessible. Idaho is working on legislation that would allow smaller lot sizes and more density for starter homes. And long term, that's something that could really help with affordability. CUNA growth. If you've ever been hearing about CUNA, there's a reason for that. It was just named one of the top boom towns in the country, with about 1,000 new residents moving there every year. So if you're looking for growth areas, that's definitely one to watch. Healthcare expansion. And then we're also seeing a $450 million healthcare expansion in Meridian and Nampa. And that kind of job growth tends to support housing demand over time. We also have developmental denial. So at the same time, a larger development in Nampa was actually denied. So even with growth, we're still seeing limits on supply. So when you put all this together, we have increasing demand, we have constrained supply, and we have stable pricing. That's a very specific kind of market. One where we don't want to rush, but you also don't want to be passive. If you're a buyer, you want to make sure that you are ready to rock, get that pre-approval, know exactly your numbers, and be ready to move quickly when you find the one. Also make sure that you have an agent that has quick communication and fierce negotiation skills to help you during this transitioning market. If you're a seller, this could be a great time depending on your type of home and your location. Just keep in mind to set realistic expectations. Your agent during the listing appointment should look up specifically your zip code and your type of home and give you accurate data to let you know truly what to expect with your days on market and how the deal could possibly play out. And if you're thinking about relocating to Boise, I still remember 5 years ago moving here from California. I remember all the questions and the concerns I had, so please feel free to reach out with anything that's on your mind. I'll also link below so many free guides, new construction guide, buyer's guide, seller's guide, all kinds of resources, and a way that you can get in touch with me directly if you have any questions and would like to start planning your move. So until next time, I'll see you in April.